Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Kline, co-founder and CEO, along with my husband and company visionary, Devan Kline.
And together, with our amazing team, we are going to help you push past your limits, not just physically in our gyms, but right here, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on the Burn Bootcamp podcast.
Together, we will take on challenges and break through barriers to transform into the best possible version of ourselves. We are more than a gym. We are a community. Your community. Let's go, Burn Nation.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. My name is Devan Kline, and I am your co-host. Today, we have a focus meeting podcast. What is a focus meeting, okay? For those of you that don't know, we have over 400 gyms across the country, and we have an on-demand platform in which we have thousands of members that join us digitally. And focus meetings are where we get to sit down one-on-one. We get to talk about goal orientation, nutrition. We get to go deep mentally and focus on some mental reps rather than the physical reps in the gym. And so whether you're a Burn Bootcamp member or not, I want you to put your hands together and welcome Jillian Parten here to the podcast today, everyone. Welcome, Jillian.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you. You are an on-demand member, a former Edmond, Oklahoma member. Why don't you give a quick Burn background for me?
So I first went to Burn actually in Mississippi. We were there for a brief time, and it was right after I had two babies back to back, and I was about a year out postpartum, and I was in terrible shape. 13 months apart my babies were, and it was bad. And I was like, I got to do something. And so I tried out Burn, and I thought I was going to vomit during the warm up. And I thought, I don't know if I can do this, but I kept going back. And then I was there for a couple of months, and then my husband, we had to move and ended up in Oklahoma, and that's where I started my journey with Burn, really. And I was there for 2 years in Edmond, Oklahoma, and that was both of our homes, really, was what we call for Burn. And then when we moved to Maryland, there was not a brick and mortar Burn close to us. So we moved in November, and right after On Demand rolled out, and could not have been better timing. I remember Kay telling us right after she came back from Summit that it was about to come out, and we were like, oh my goodness, thank goodness, because we could not find a Burn close to us. So now we've been doing Burn On Demand ever since, and we're loving it.
And you built a little at-home gym too,
We did in our outdoor shed. We turned it into a home gym, and it's quickly become our favorite place.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I know that Matt streams in with you guys and make sure that he puts his eyeballs on you out in the shed while you're working out, huh?
He does. And even when I do it not live, I can hear Matt's voice in my head saying, don't stop, Jillian, because that's what he tends to tell me when I am live is don't quit, don't stop.
Yeah, it's so cool to be able to recreate some of the Burn community on demand. And, you know, it is about streaming in. It is about that opportunity to know each other's name, even if there are only 8 to 12 people on the screen at one time. And, you know, we have, thousands of members at this point. And so not everybody can be there every time, but the sense you get that even when you're not on the screen, you get this like sense of you're kind of there. You feel the energy of the group.
I feel like I know everybody on there. And even on Instagram, DMing people I've never met in my whole life because I see them on the live. And so they now know me, and I feel like I know them, and we've never met each other. So it is really cool.
And we got a chance to work out together today at noon at the Lake Norman gym, and it was an amazing camp. Ashley Beasley, our lead trainer here at Lake Norman, just absolutely gave us our own butts on a platter.
She did.
Today, our own legs on a platter, roasted chicken thighs today, because my legs are done right now. I'm shaking as we sit here.
Yes, same.
You got those 45-pound weights up on your shoulders, squatting them out. That was great. So you've clearly adopted this love for working out with Burn and with your husband in the shed, and whether it's in the gym and with Kay at Edmond or in Maryland, in your shed. You seem to master the consistency of that. And not that it's ever something that's mastered. It's always something we have to wake up and pay attention to every day. But it's become this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that it's become this obsession in a positive way where like you don't want to miss it because of the way you feel when you might miss one, or that you really you gravitate toward the feeling of doing something so challenging.
Absolutely. That's 100% correct. And it's become a lifestyle. I can't tell you how many people even messaged me and say, I'm going to try out Burn. You guys have inspired me, because just posting it to social media or talking about it, it really has become a part of both of our lifestyles, that people ask us about it. And it's definitely become a consistent routine every day, 6 days a week, that it's just a part of our routine. And especially for me as a stay-at-home mom, it's even more. I do it most of the time during my youngest nap time, and it's like, okay, I'm going to the shed and I'm going to work out, and it's just a moment to breathe and to work out and to get a good workout in, and it's just part of my day now. And it was like that before when I was in Edmond. I went to the 9:30 camp there and had child watch, and those were my people every day. It's definitely just become part of my life.
Well, it's amazing how consistent that you've been, and we're glad to see that Burn can meet you where you are in your life's journey. As you know, you follow your husband as he moves states, cities for his career, raising a family simultaneously. I can only imagine the roller coaster of emotion, ups and downs that you might feel, congratulatory, celebratory feelings for moving on and moving up as a family in a career, and also, the actual art of moving and reacclimating and raising 3 babies that, are actually here downstairs. I think our VP of Culture, Victoria Cerisi's down there babysitting for us. So Child Watch follows you everywhere you go. This is a focus meeting, right? And so I want to really get in, peel back the layers to who you are and find out, what it is that would make your life more wonderful. So why do you think you came today to be on the podcast as a guest? Where should we start?
That's a good question.
Where we should start?
So my oldest is 6 years old, and I've been a stay-at-home mom since then. I now have 3 kids, 6, almost 5, and 1.5-year-old. Before I became a mom, I had a career, and I was a teacher and loved it. And in the last few years of being a teacher, I was in a little bit of administration. And when you're in the workforce, you just tend to get a lot of feedback, whether, positive, this is what you're doing well, we appreciate you, you're doing a great job. And just to be honest, since becoming a mom and having no one see what you do, no one be able to know, obviously my husband does, and he is so appreciative and tells me all the time. But still, it's just, you're sitting there wondering, this is what am I doing here? Is there any bit of me left, or just dealing with that? But my relationship with God and my relationship with my husband obviously is what I've tried to focus on to make sure I have my identity correct in the right places. But on a human side, just knowing, do I have any goals in life? Or are my goals to get my kids potty trained and sleeping through the night and eating a good diet? And I do want them to be good humans, so I do try to focus on that. I want them to be strong, healthy, wonderful girls as they grow up. So that is a wonderful goal to have. But as far as an individual goal, I remember just seeing on the focus meetings, like helping you set goals. And I'm like, I don't remember the last time I set goals for myself, whether that be physical goals or, just any type of goals. But because I was in such bad shape when I started Burn, and then I had another pregnancy, which I worked out through the entire pregnancy up until the day before she was born. And that was amazing. Made such a difference in delivery and recovery. But then about 6 months, maybe not 6 to 8 months after postpartum, I ended up having a major shoulder surgery, had an injury, shoulder surgery. And so then I was recovering. I'm almost at a year post-op from surgery. And I've started to see some physical goals being met, or seeing some progress, really, that I'm starting going, maybe I should start set goals and see what I could do, or, just having somebody help me work through all of that, because I haven't done that.
Yeah, this is so cool to be able to have this conversation with you because I think there's a fundamental question that we could start with that as I go, I'll try to lead you through the jungle of all this, and try to play the helicopter and just kind of see what's help you identify maybe some things that you could think about that you can't necessarily see that are right in front of you because of the thick of the jungle and the complexities of life. Question: do you have a void? Do you, if you actually took a moment to say, okay, Jillian, okay, self, do I have a void? Or is it that I just haven't found the words to language the purpose that I'm living in today? Is this something that society is putting pressure on me to define for myself? Or is this something that I really need to define myself as a step toward the next level of self-actualization or the higher self? What are your thoughts?
I would say I don't feel like I have a inward void. I have a strong faith. I have a relationship with God that has really kept me grounded in knowing that I have a purpose in life and that I'm here for a reason. So I wouldn't say that I have a void necessarily that I'm looking for, but I will say that there are some levels maybe that I'm like, am I reaching my fullest potential? I think that's probably more, or could I be challenging myself more, or am I just trying to make it through the day? And I think that's probably more, not necessarily a void that I'm trying to fill, but I don't want to look back on these years and think I was in survival mode and I was just trying to make it through the day and I wasn't challenging myself personally or in any other way besides just making it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, looking down the field and saying, "Hey, I've got this mile marker that I want to get to," reminds me of the saying, "Progress is happiness." And if we're able to make progress, even if it's just a little bit every day, then we find ourselves in that, right? So the question is, and moms definitely identify with this. A lot of dads can identify with this too. It's you go through these years where your career's on the up and up, whether it's your husband, yourself, both you together, you're having children. There's a lot of uncertainties in life. And then you're here just trying to fix the plane as it's flying and you forget actually who you are. And then you have this, it can be an existential crisis for a lot of people. It doesn't sound like it is for you. You're just very curious and just wondering, is there more for me? Who am I really? Our story is what determines our state. So the language, the story that we're telling ourselves of who we are in the moment determines the emotional state that we're in. So if it's, hey, who am I? I've lost myself. I don't have any identity outside of my kids. You could say it that way, or you could say, you know what? I found myself. My identity is one of the most noble identities that a human being could partake in, and that's raising 3 beautiful children to get them to the next level of life. And oh, by the way, I'm gonna show them how to make progress by this and this and this in my life. Do you know what I mean? There's that perspective in that story you could be telling yourself. And I think if we can get the right story, you can get the right state. You know what I mean? So talk to me about the story. What has your story been as of now, the first example, or more like the second one?
I think more like the second one.
Okay.
I think I have never once thought, what am I doing with my life? I feel very confident that I am in the role that I need to be in, that I want to be in, that I choose to be in as far as being a stay-at-home mom. So I'm definitely I think more in the second story. I just want to make sure that I am making progress in, just like I was saying earlier, just not look back and go, I was just surviving. And I feel like Burn has been that for me in an avenue in my life. One that is accessible to my lifestyle, as even especially with Burn on Demand, where there is no physical burn close to me, that I can do it at my house on my time has been huge for me. But I will say on the flip side of, I don't have somebody in the room with me to help push me. We did put up a whiteboard in our gym, so I would write down the weights and how many reps I got, because I was going, I don't have anybody pushing me. I got to figure out some way to push myself. And so that was one thing I did, but I can still ignore that if I want to. So
you have like this hunger for progress.
Yes.
And there's something trackable. There's something that's like giving you tangible proof that I'm, in a sense, that I am worth it.
Yes.
Well, here's an interesting thing. This is something I learned a few months ago.
Okay.
That so we all know how we're all made, right? A sperm and an egg.
Yeah.
You can fit 1 million of those little sperm on the top of a pin of a needle, 1 million of them. That encodes, just one of those encodes in a predetermined fashion, how tall you'll be, how old you'll be, what experiences of the world you'll have, how you'll react, your personality. Now you have the epigenetics and the environment that kind of shapes you as well, but all these genetic encoding is in this one little tiny microscopic organism that becomes life. So you like, not only is it cute to say like you already have everything you need inside of you, it's science. Like you already have all of the things that you have ever needed inside you, and it's just time to clear the clutter, find the key, put it in. So is it just progress or like does it, like what's stopping you from feeling that? You're mentioning that burn is filling that void. What's stopping you, if I may ask?
Yeah, sure. I think I need to be mentally more tough and realize that I can do. I don't know if you noticed when we were working out, like I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Or I think because I am in the best shape of my life, but I am not to where I think I could be, but I also don't believe that I could be because I've never done it before, if that makes sense.
You haven't experienced it yet.
I haven't experienced it. So I'm sitting here watching my husband, who is a beast. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. So it's like, why would I even try? I'll just do this. And I am trying to push myself, but at the same time, it's like, I think I'm not mentally in the same. I think a lot of maybe former athletes have this just mental toughness. It's like, I said I'm going to do it and I can do it. And I don't think that I have that mentality. And so trying to put that in my mentality of not thinking, oh, this hurts, I'm going to stop. Or I think I've reached failure. I think this is what failure feels like, so I'll stop, when it's probably more of just, this is hard and I'm tired. And so I think that's probably, for me personally, I don't think that I have the mental toughness to push myself as hard as I think I could be.
So let's break this down.
Sure.
Because I think that's a great maybe aha moment we can talk about. So mental. Okay, so mental means mind. Mind produces thoughts. Thoughts are things. We don't know where they come from, but we know they're things because we can take a thought and then we can manifest that into reality. I can think about drawing a bird and then I can draw a bird and now my thought became a thing. So if you believe that mental means mind and mind produces thoughts and that thoughts are things, well, then things can either contract or they can expand, right? They grow, they can change states. If you think about, let's say, a tree, for example, let's say an oak tree. You're not wrong that an athlete can be and probably is likely more mentally tough than somebody who never had all of those experiences, all of those thoughts, because we were forced to, at one point, like a little seed that grew into a tiny little plant that eventually was the oak tree. As an athlete, you get repetition after repetition after repetition, thought after thought, thing after thing after thing after thing that you have to overcome. And if you turn out to be a pretty good athlete, that means automatically you have then overcame a lot of those thoughts in the past. So your little seedling, your little plant starts to grow into a branch, and then it gets thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker, and to the point where it's a solid oak tree. And that's the game that we're playing. right? We're going to have these thoughts, these things that come in. They're going to be negative. They're going to be positive. Like they're going to help you or they're going to hurt you. None of them are yours inherently, right? Like thoughts don't come in and you're like, oh, that's my thought. I'm the only one that ever thought of that thing. Like I'm the only one that's ever had fear. And we do that to ourselves a lot of times. Yeah. So the thoughts that come in, we've got to have this bifurcation, this separation, like Plinko of like, this thought comes in, I can use that, or this negative thought, I can't stop thinking about how do I use that, and this is how we like get the trunk of the tree bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so as you look down at those weights, like today in our workout, and you're looking at the 45s and you're like, your immediate reaction is, I'm not going to do that. Then you pick it up and do it. That thought that was a thing just got diminished, and you starved the thought that said, I'm doubting myself, and you fed the one that says, even if I can, maybe there might be an opportunity, there might be a shot. So you, in fact, grew your tree trunk, your oak tree today got bigger, and all it is just a continual progression of seeing, feeling fear, feeling doubt. As incoherent as it seems, use that as a positive reinforcement to attack whatever thing that is in front of you that is making you fearful and doubtful, knowing that you're going to be okay. You're not going to die, right? And it's going to be okay even if you fail, and we won't take it too seriously. But that trigger of, I can't do it, if it becomes good. I can't do it, good, give me more. Because now you're chopping down the bad tree and you're growing the mental tree trunk. So that's the way that I think about it.
That's good. I need to apply that.
Well, if you think about that every time you're doing it, now you have this visual. Are you a visual person?
Uh-huh.
Now you have a vision
of
like, okay, negative thought. I can't, It's like not giving my tree water.
Yeah.
And every thought, boom, got it. Fear, do it anyway. Doubt, do it anyway. Guilt, that's not me. That's a projection of somebody else onto me, right? Shame, did I really do something wrong? Was that really me, or was that somebody else's projection of their shame onto me? Okay, all right, that thought's not mine either. Throw it away. And you just start to play that game with yourself. It's this internal dialogue. Carl Jung called it the shadow self.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a very, very smart man, much smarter than me. But this thing, it's almost like you have this conversation with yourself. Have you ever, in a sense, this is what self-awareness is.
Yeah.
Have you consciously taken an effort in your life not to be self-aware of your environment, not to be self-aware of your children, because I know all those things, check, right? But self-aware of yourself, like how you are reacting in space and time?
In some cases, yes, I would say that, but I'm trying to think about an example or a situation that I would not be. I would, particularly with working out, I would say probably not, because I definitely have a lower not expectation, but I don't think I can do things that other people say that I could do. Even today, you and Beasley both pushed me, and I was like, I can't do that, and that's me. I think that comes from a place of I haven't ever been able to in my past, and so why in the world would I think that I could do it now? So I'm trying to think of other situations where I wouldn't necessarily be self-aware personally.
Do you have any idea why you might have that natural propensity to doubt yourself when there would be an easy opportunity just to say, I haven't yet? Have you gone back into your past? Usually these belief systems that we have, if not thoroughly examined, are usually someone else's. Have you ever considered that and gone back through your past and said, is there anybody back there that I really respected, really admired? Maybe there was an instance or an experience that I can think about that just somebody told me I wasn't enough or couldn't do it, or I had this failure, I didn't make a sports team, and I made fun of. Was there anything that as you self-examine that might lead you to believe that this belief system is actually the possession of like a 14-year-old version of you rather than the version of you today?
I would have to really dig back and start to think about that. The only thing that pops into my head is just even as a I played basketball when I was growing up, all throughout middle school, high school. Loved it. Had an incredible just experience playing basketball. Loved it. But I was not the best player. I was like fifth man, sixth man. But my best friends were the best ones. Nobody has ever told me I was not enough. Nobody has ever told me. So nobody has ever used those words, but it's probably one of those things where I was looking around at the success of people around me, maybe, and saying, well, I know I'm not as good as them. And it's just been an inward thing. No one has ever spoken those things to me, but I think it has been an internalized, just being aware of other people around you that are, which I haven't dealt with that personally. Like, it hasn't been a huge thing, but I think in this arena that we're even talking about, it is probably, I'm like, I'm not as good as them, and that's okay. I'll just be mediocre myself.
Right. And now you found something that you can be pretty good at, which is why it excites you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's why that burn has like found that ignited that little flame inside, because you're good at it. And you know, maybe that's the reason you long to be good at something. You want to be good at something,
Yes.
make progress in something, and that progress is equal.
I think that is exactly what it is that I have found something that I really do love, and that I do think that I'm pretty good at it, and I think I could get better at it.
Love
And
that.
it is, not only is it just this, I think I'm good at this, but it has so many other benefits, which you've talked extensively about on podcasts and in your book, and all the benefits that comes from working out. But yes, I do think that's one of it, is like, okay, I like this.
So let's set a plan to keep you
Okay.
progressing.
Okay.
Because I think, and you know, I ask all those like philosophical kind of psychoanalytical questions. Not that I'm a therapist or certified or anything, but I've just gone through trying to figure out my own life. And there's certain patterns as I've had focus meetings with everybody, and there's two motivators. It's pain and pleasure, and it's either the pain from losing love or the pleasure of gaining it, like, period. That's what motivates us as human beings. And, you know, oftentimes we have this set, 13 to 24 problems that we all kind of have in common, and you get to go back and analyze each year of your life and bring forward, even if we're not talking here about, some people I talk to, they're the worst they've ever been. And it's time for like a radical hour to like
Life change,
really
yeah.
make a shift, right? You're one of those people that life's on fire already, right? And you're just now in this place where it's like, okay, now I'm finding out who I am. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see what I'm made of. Let me get something that I can track that progress so I can continue. So let's do that.
Yes.
But before we do that, the last kind of question that I have, just to make sure that we're on the right track here, is the answer to your question. You mentioned regret. What is the worst conceivable regret that you could have? Realistically, conceivable. When you say, I don't want to regret looking back and missing X, Y, and Z. I don't want to look back and say there was an opportunity for me to challenge myself, but I did not. What fears arise in your head when you think about that?
I think about, like, I'm spending my time right now raising my girls, but there's going to be a time when, my oldest is starting kindergarten, and there's going to be a time when they're all in school, and then even further down the road, they're going to be leaving my house. And that's hard to imagine right now, but I do know that day is coming, and I don't want to get to there and be like, okay, what do I do now? With, like, I don't have any hobbies. I don't have anything I'm good at, because I've spent all my time and energy and focus and all of that on. So creating, this is why burn has become so important to me, because it has given me an outlet to not get to the end of that road and look back and go, I don't have anything to spend my time or effort or energy or anything on. So
that's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think you've got it. You've got it sorted out. You got it pinpointed. So it's just this tangible thing. And that's great because we all need a tangible thing
Yes.
we can see that's not too far over the horizon, right? That's like
Yeah.
tangible. It's right in front of us. So let's do that.
Okay.
That'd be fun. So think about where you would want to be with let's start with physical fitness, as
Okay.
that's the very act of overcoming any doubt
Sure.
that leads to mental health. Where would you like to be? What movements would you like to perform? What capabilities would you like to have?
I have a couple in my head. I've actually started one already that I'm working on. I have never in my life been able to do push-ups on my toes. And then in May, when we had that as our focus, I was really trying, but I could only do I think at the end of the month I did 4 on my toes. And but that started to light a fire under me to think. So I have kept up with trying to keep doing that. And my whole life, I've just been like, oh, let's just do it on my knees. They're fine. But it's something about that monthly focus just really challenged me to keep going. And the other day I sent a video to my husband and I did 16 push-ups on my toes.
Woo!
And I then was like, okay, I'm going to set a goal. August 23rd is my year of having my shoulder surgery. And I was like, if I could do 25 push-ups in a year from having shoulder surgery, which was, a major, I couldn't put any weight or do anything with my shoulder for 4-6 months. So really only in 6 months. So that was that's literally the only first time in my life that I've probably set a physical goal like that.
Okay.
To be able to do that. But then even thinking, we were talking about double unders earlier. I can't do double unders.
Yet.
I told
You can't do it yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and I remember talking to Matt Morris one time, and I was like, I don't care about double unders. I'll just do. And he looked at me with these huge eyes, like, you got to learn how to do double unders.
The Matt
And I was
Morris
like,
eyes.
I don't really care about double unders, but now I'm like, okay, now I got to work on double unders.
Okay.
So those are the first 2 things
I love it.
that pop in my head.
Okay. I love it. So push-ups on your toes, you're at 25, you're at
I'm at 16
now.
Yeah.
And you want to go to 25. Okay. And you're doing camp 6 days a week. Okay. 6 days a week. And you're tracking anytime you're doing a push up, a chest press or any type of incline chest press, you're tracking your weight there.
Yes.
What's your weight currently at?
Right now, I just did PR'd last week when we had push-pull. I did 40, with 40s. I think I only got, I have to go back and look and see how many reps I did, but between 8 and 10 reps with 40s.
Okay.
And that's been a goal too with chest presses because I was stuck at 30s for a while. But then once I started tracking it and doing just the progressive overload type thing, and I picked up the 40s for the first time last week.
Great. So it's a reps times weight equals volume equation. So to get stronger at anything, conditioning exercises are a touch different, but to get any strength exercises, progressive overload is all about overloading more volume over time, right? So it's repetitions times weight equals volume. The 40s at 8 to 10 reps will likely have to get to 40s at 5 sets of 15. So that's one tangible goal.
Okay.
And I know this roundabout. This is not exact science. This is kind of the art of my experience. But 5 sets of 15 with 40s, full range of motion, will be really good practice for you to be able to see if you can't flip around in the supine position and go for 25 chest to deck. Okay, so that way you can start to gauge yourself.
Okay.
It's not that you need to, you're just looking for a little bit more endurance right now. A touch more. You're at the, so when you're chest press, okay, now talk to me about the actual move, because you can't ride a bike without practicing riding a bike, right? So the movement you're trying to get better at, push-ups, how often are you dedicating some extra time to that?
Sure. I would say probably aside from camp, doing them definitely not on a chest day, but outside of that, probably 3 times a week. And it's just been oh, can I get one more than I got last time? I haven't had set goal. It's just, let's see how many I can do. And when I got 8 and I was like, oh, let me see if I can do 10 and Let me see if I can. And so now that's maybe, I'd say 2 to 3 times a week is what I've been trying to do.
I love that cadence. You're doing it when you're not like sore.
Yeah.
And when you're recovered. And it's maybe like a leg day and you just drop down, hit some push-ups. Okay, perfect. That's exactly the right move.
Okay.
So this will be logical, right? Like if we have a goal of 25 on our toes, then we best do 25 on our toes as soon as we can, even if they're not unbroken, meaning even if you have to take a break. So I want you to go as many reps as you can, good, clean, honest reps, then take a break. Don't go to your knees. Don't continue. Just then take a break, shake it out, 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, hit another set, and then see how many until you start shrinking your sets until you get to 25. My goal is to do 50 pull-ups in a row right now.
Whew.
Yeah, and I'm at 27. And yesterday, I did this exact style of training. It's just this volume for time type training and a calisthenic exercise like a push-up or a pull-up. This is a good style of training to get your body more acclimated to doing the reps in a row. And so I ended up doing on 7-13, 11 rounds, 100 reps in 16 minutes.
Oh, dang.
Right. So I'm going a little bit beyond my suggestion, but it used to be, if I want to do 50, let me get up there and do 50. Now I'm like getting closer. So I'm trying to do sets of 25 now, right? I'm trying to increase the amount that I can do in a row in almost like one burst of energy. So training that way will be, you'll get there slightly faster than if you are just stopping at 8 or 10 or Okay. And now if you can get to the point where you're doing 50 unbroken, it could be like 10, take a break. 8, take a break. Ooh, 10, because you felt good that set, take a break. Okay, now I go 6, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. But all of them are on your toes. That's going to be the quickest way you could do it. So, I mean, you could get from 16 to 25, under my estimation, in probably less than 3 weeks if you did it that way.
Okay, well,
right? So
that's helpful.
And so here's what this will do. This will help you realize that strategy married with the progress. So if I take a good strategy and I apply it to the progress that I want to make, I speed up my progress. And if progress is in some way happiness and happiness is some way confidence or part of it, confidence just starts going through the roof, right? And before you know it, you're going to be in like a weighted vest doing pull-ups, you and Micah, because you guys are crazy. And in the best way possible, by the way. I love you guys.
Well, thank you.
But, and that attitude too, I've been around him. He did the verses against Matt, and that attitude is one that, with the right perspective, you're like, okay, give me a little bit of that today, that attack it mentality, I need a little bit of that. And that's kind of what we get at Burn inside the community. But I know how husband and wife training together goes as well.
Yes, for sure. He thinks I can do a lot more than I think I can do.
Yeah, I take him as an extremely encouraging father and husband.
Yes.
So does that help?
Tremendously, actually. Yes.
Yeah. Just a couple strategies to get you there, to show you how strong you really are and how capable you really are. Because remember, if those thoughts are things, you're going to be like, oh, okay, Devan, I'll do it. It's going to be great. Then you'll do it. And, oh, that wasn't so bad. Tree trunk gross. Ooh, I got 18 today. Tree trunk gross. Before you know it, you're doing the men's SAC.
I cannot do pull-ups yet.
Yes.
I cannot do them yet.
I
need to get the right band to help.
Do you have a pull-up bar in the shed?
We have a pull-up bar, but we don't have a band to do an assisted band to help me with that yet.
I'm sure we got some extra bands laying around here. I know.
I need to get one.
We'll get you some extra bands.
Okay, good.
We'll get you some extra bands. And, obviously then nutrition has a lot to do with those goals. So there's your physical goals, right? Let's talk double unders. Okay, so double unders, where are you at with these?
I can get like 2,
so you
and
can
then
get
my legs start getting slashed by the rope.
So I have a saying that if you can get 2, you can get 200. Because you've already created the connectivity to get consecutive jumps in a row.
Okay.
So now you just have to repeat the pattern of 2, 2, 2, and you got to continue to grow that.
Okay.
Now it depends on what it looks like when you do 2. Is it 2 with good form, or is it 2 where you're like really trying?
It's like 2 where my feet
a desperate kind of try.
Come up like this,
The
It's
dolphin.
like
That's called the dolphin.
Okay, yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, woo.
That's my 2.
Okay, all right. Well, The best way to practice is to cut a rope in half,
Okay.
right down the middle. Just get a cheapie.
Yeah.
Get a nice one. Cut it right down the middle and have one in each hand so that you don't like put gnarly gashes on your
Yes.
shins. You show up to like drop your kids off at school. Like,
What
Jillian,
have you been doing?
What are you, Micah, doing in your shed out there? No, yeah, you don't want to lacerations in your shins. So you want to cut the rope, and then I want you to turn music off.
Okay.
And I want you to be with yourself.
Okay.
And the sound of the rope. And I want you to start to time your jump with the
Okay.
and you'll hear the broken ropes hit at the same time. At first, I'm telling you, you're gonna like, have you ever seen a baby giraffe walk, try to walk?
Yes,
You're gonna
yes.
feel like kind of that, like you don't know what to quite do with your hands, right? Like
Yeah.
your proprioception is gonna be a little off, your rhythm's not gonna be that great. That's what you're looking for. Okay, now stop. How do I get my rhythm good? Sometimes if you can't jump yet and get the rhythm, just stand. Then start to think, jump, jump,
Jump.
jump, jump, jump. When you can hear the rope and it's going,
Okay.
then you can add jump, 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 jump. And now you're starting to condition yourself and starting to visualize yourself actually doing it. So that way, once you start connecting that rope again, you know, and you're actually obviously you progress into jumping with the rope and everything. And then you'll get to a cadence where you're jumping at peak. You don't have to do the dolphin thing because there's no rope coming underneath you.
Yeah.
You'll have just enough enough white space, airspace underneath your toes as you're accelerating, pointing your toes down to the ground,
Yes.
right? So come off your toes. You'll hear the rhythm and that you'll start to, and it will be timed with your jump. You'll know it. Then you start adding the rope.
That's where I've been doing this wrong because I've been just trying to do double unders without ever working up to it. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And I needed to know how to work yourself up instead of just, oh, I don't know how to do double unders. Let me try.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not so pretty.
And if you get that rhythm really quick, then it's probably not the right place for you to start. The right place for you to start would then be it's usually all about once you're athletic enough and coordinated enough because you've had enough reps and it's, you know, same thing, growing the tree trunk, it's connected the neural synapses in your head to say, I now have this form circuitry of being able to connect my mind with this jump rope. That's all it is. It's just time and practice. If you're kind of already there, you're just close. A lot of people just get in their head mentally, and what happens is they don't anticipate the future, and they get all excited about hitting one. It's like, look at what I did, and I hit one. And then the second one is like, you know, you don't anticipate it. And so one trick that I have is don't count by ones. Count every 10 reps as one. It's just a simple mental trick that helped me break my PR after not being able to break it for like 2 years. I started going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that was all in my head. And then I'd go 1 out loud. 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 6, 7,
Okay.
8, 9, 3. And that way I'm like, in my head, I'm still getting to like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but it starts to, it starts to just frame it in a way where you're anticipating the next rep. And if you're anticipating the next rep and you don't get surprised mid-jump that you're doing it, like
Which is totally me.
doing it. And it's so like that slow-mo.
Yes.
Yeah. You can imagine yourself
That's totally
in
me.
slow-mo. Yeah. That's what you want to do. So if that's ever the case, and I observe that somebody is clearly athletic enough to do it and they're getting the way mentally, I just tell them, hey, do everything you can do in your body right now to do a triple under. And then what they do is they anticipate doing, they'll say, I'm not athletic enough. I've been trying it for 5 years. And in 5 minutes, just saying, no, you're athletic enough. I see you run. I see you cut. You've got the proprioception. Just act as if you're doing a triple. And that just little mental perspective shifts the entire game because now my hands have to go much faster in order for me to do 3. And I actually was athletic enough to do doubles the whole time. I didn't believe in myself. And so therefore my hands slowed down at rotation 1. And then I acted like I labeled myself not athletic when in fact I just was inexperienced and I lacked perspective
Yeah.
on it. So maybe that's it. And that's the kind of scale and the spectrum. So where do you think you fall in terms of all of that?
I think I'm a little bit of both. I think trying to jump in, doing them from the get-go, looking like the dolphin. That's totally me. But I also think that, I'm the mental aspect. I'm like, oh, I want to do it, but I didn't start at the right place, first of all. So, but that is extremely helpful just to know where to start.
And this won't just be physical, as you know, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is why I love fitness in general as a tool for us to be able to show ourselves how strong we are, to show ourselves the next level, the higher self, to actualize through weights and through challenge and through demanding more out of ourselves than we're kind of willing to. By doing that, you intangibly have to become a mentally stronger person. You have to become a more self-aware, emotionally intelligent person. And so it's going to start spilling over. And we don't even need to go there. That's just going to happen if you just stay focused. Progress equals happiness equals momentum. I think confidence is intrinsic in there too. But that momentum that you're going to get that you've already gotten from Burn, not missing days, showing up, finding out about yourself, getting to the point where you're here, you've asked the question, is there more to this? And the answer is, now go set this physical goal. It's going to show itself some way through your faith, through your finances, through it's going to cup runneth over when you just focus on the process and the joy of it and being present, no matter how big the aspiration is or small the aspiration is, as long as it's meaningful to you.
Sure, yeah.
That's where
I've
that's
seen
where the
that
magic
even
is.
just in my life as a mom as a husband that travels, thinking this is hard. What I'm doing in my life right now as 3 small children away from all family, it is just me. This is hard day in and day out. But then I have made this connection of you do hard all the time. You can do this. And I'm like, you know what? I do hard things all the time. And it's helped me in my everyday, even the discipline. It spilled over into other parts of my life. Just being like, okay, I used to think I could never eat egg whites for breakfast. I thought that was disgusting. And now it's something that I do every day. That's what I eat for breakfast is egg whites. And I'm like, what in the world? It's just
right. We've become a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah. We shed the old version of ourselves. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah. I'm a different person than before Burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're both in our mid to late 30s. And isn't this just a beautiful time of our lives where we get to be on the older side of young.
I like that way.
Right? In the younger side of old. And it's that, it is that period in which we separate ourselves from kind of going one way. And not that generically speaking, you can't be 50, 60, 70 and change the direction of your life, but now's the time, now are the years. And it just, it's really cool that Burn has helped you just even ask the question, hey, what am I really capable of? You know? And my feeling is that you're going to go crush these push up and double under goals.
Well, it's on record now, so I really have to do it.
It is on record. It is on record. And it's going to lead to much more significant things. And you'll always look at this as a moment where a moment where it's crazy to say it, but it happens all over Burn Nation, where push-ups can change your life if you let them. You know,
I believe it. Yeah,
they really can. They really can. What would you say to somebody that you know, is in it right now, like a mom, a dad who's listening to this, who is really in where you were probably, you know, a handful of years ago when those three beautiful girls were quite a bit younger? What would be your advice?
I would definitely say, and I continue to tell people this all the time, just go, just show up, and then truly everything else just falls into place. If you show up and my husband always makes sure to tell people this, give it your best effort. If you don't give it your best effort, you're not going to get the progress, or you're not going to see what happens. And he's like, anybody that shows up and gives their best effort is going to see some amazing things happen. And I think that's what I would tell people is just show up, especially moms. We have child watch. I mean, that is the reason that I picked Burn to show up. I was like, well, I have kids. But child watch, there's no excuses now. And so you can go and just show up and then give it your best effort and see what happens.
I love that. It's beautiful. Well, this has been so good. I feel like we have made some progress, that the focus meeting was, that we have an outcome.
Yes.
You got some tangible outcomes to go out there and get it.
I'm going to need to take a picture of that, of your notes.
Yeah, well, I always Chelsea, who is the producer of the show along with Tony, they always give us these amazing scripts that just reminds me of all of your story and everything that has gone into you. And then I have this whiteboard marker, and that's where I write all my notes and ask my next questions when they come to me, so I don't lose them. 'Cause as my wife knows, my mind moves very quick. If I don't write stuff down, sometimes I'll lose it. But this has been a blessing to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
And I know that your story is like so many stories that are out in Burn Nation right now. And, this helps somebody else believe in themselves for sure. Definitely. Good. You'll get DMs. I'll get DMs when this goes live. And was there anything else that you'd like to say before we head out here?
I feel like even just listening and reading the book that I feel like I am one story of thousands. I am so many people that say, I'm like, oh yeah, that's true of me too. So I do hope that this resonates with some other people out there that have similar stories.
Nonetheless, very, very special person you are.
Well,
so thank you for being here.
I've loved it.
Thank you for your family and all you do for Burn. And
thank you.
Let's go play with those
Let's do
girls
it.
Downstairs. All right. We're going to do it like we always do, everyone. 2 claps, 1, 2, 1, 2.